This is the Outliers Edge podcast, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity by taking them to the edge of their comfort zone so that they can lead us to the edge of what's next. I'm your host, Niiamah Ashong. Let's do this. Oh, yes. How are you? Niiamah Ashong here, founder of Outliers Edge, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity. And it's become clear to me that if we're championing the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity, we also need to make sure that we're talking to the humans that are those leaders. And so we're now doing what an informal series or season that I call the Outlier in You, where we're slowing down and we're finding how every person in our world is contributing toward what comes next for us. Today, I get to be in conversation with one of the most important people in my world right now. She's someone that I come to for support, to play out some of my ideas. She's a strong member of a mastermind that I'm a part of, and she's also someone who helps keep me real. When I get lost along the path, she's quick to shine a light on it, and also to help me like get through the clutter of like really having a visionary mind and seeing like a future that is so bright, so vast, but doesn't exist in this current moment. So I'm really, really proud and honored to be in a conversation with you, Rachel Eden. How are you today?
I'm so good. I love that intro too, because I'm thinking about like decluttering, how I help you get decluttered. I'm thinking like Marie Kondo or Home Edit of the Mind, you know?
I don't know because I know of Marie Kondo, but I haven't like gone down that path. So tell me
Yeah,
what that means to
anyone
you.
who does like take a deep dive into like the rabbit hole that is home organization knows these names of like these Netflix series where they basically go into your space and like the messier and more cluttered it is, the juicier of an episode it is. And then they go in there and they like just make everything make sense. It's organized, there's vision for it. It's actually really aligned with the way that a coach might work with someone in their own mind, because the mind can be such like a swampy dark place without us being able to make sense of it, together.
Yeah, I think that like when I think about you, so I want to give you some time here, I think, uh to speak yourself into this space as well. Like generally speaking, we're gonna be in this conversation. We don't have to worry about any titles, we don't have to worry about anything that needs to get done. This is really just like a deep dive showcase into you. Um, and at the same time, like I want to make sure that how do I say it? I think I always come in with the intention of like I really just want people on in this conversation to be seen, to be celebrated, and to be valued. Right. So let's do something right now. Let's clear some space for us in this thing, in this conversation by getting rid of um an unsaid thing. Let's share with let's share right now kind of the external part of you, Rachel, the external professional part of you. So like let us know what you do, let us know like who you are in the world. If that feels like it really like is here and present, let's put that out into the world so that then we can then focus on like who you are in order to be and accomplish all those things. You good with that?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, cool. So Rachel, yeah, let us know, let me know actually. Like just tell me, uh, who are you in the world?
The question kind of, I'm going to answer it from a context of how I came to be who I am, which is that my background has been transformation. I was a psych major. I was always interested in like personality typing, always the type to want to talk to a friend about what they were going through. And then I became more religious actually. And I wanted to support people who wanted to bring spirituality into their lives, create beautiful relationships in their lives, personal development. So I actually ended up marrying a rabbi, and we were in this ministry space together with a lot of community leadership. I was on campus, I've been in community engagement work, and that's really informs who I am today. I went into coaching several years ago, but full time. My business has been full time in the last 2 years, a little more than that now. And I'm still doing the same thing I've been doing all along, which is supporting people with transformation. It's just it just is created differently in different iterations. So right now I have this group called Unjustifiable, which you know all about. And we'll be in our third round this fall, where I work with these female entrepreneur leaders, coaches, people in the mental health space, who want to see the impact that they make in the world in their bank account. And I'm super passionate about this. It was a evolution, to say the least. And that's one thing I get really excited about. The other thing I get really excited about is I work with these serial entrepreneurs who are just like heavy hitter, amazing human beings who are constantly in creation mode, swinging at that over and over and over every day, leaving nothing, out of showing up 100% every day. And it's exciting to work with them. And my newest upcoming creation is going to hit in November, but it's currently incubating, which is Entrepreneur 360, which is a course that I'm actually for the first time collaborating with someone else to do. And I'm super excited about that also. So I've got a lot of cool things going on right now in my world.
Yeah, you really do. I love that you have the various like ways that you're showing up in your business, and what really struck me here was an element of you've been doing transformation the entire time, and you talked about like it keeps taking on different iterations, right? I get really curious about that because as I go through this conversation, I'm looking to see like how did like Rachel keep creating her world, right? Like and tell me a little bit about right now I'm really curious about like how iteration works for you. I like people say it, but it feels like you actually are living it. So tell me right now how like iteration shows up for you in your world.
It's so funny that you're asking this question because I kind of wanted to go down this road with you anyway. And so you're leading me there.
Yeah.
But I love the word embodiment because to me, like what was missing for so long in my life was alignment, where yes, I was actualizing, I felt really accomplished, I was helping people, but there wasn't alignment. I wasn't filling my own cup. I wasn't, taking care of myself. I wasn't making sure that my finances were in order. I didn't see that it could be that I could have it all, so to speak. And so when you talk about like the different iterations, what's the different iteration of myself, this version of me that has come around in the last couple of years has basically been this process of alignment where I'm upgrading myself, I'm upgrading my impact, I'm upgrading my lifestyle, but it's all like consistent. It's all congruent with each other. So I actually moved to Phoenix in the summer. That was very much in keeping with wanting to upgrade my life, although I was in a beautiful city of San Diego, but I ended up really upgrading. There's a much more robust Orthodox Jewish community here in Phoenix. And so my family got to be plugged into some really great stuff. Our house is beautiful. We have already like connected with all these amazing people. So I feel for the first time that there's a lot more alignment that it's ever been before. And the reason I'm excited that you brought this up is because I'm kind of like on the cusp, I feel it, of a new iteration of myself. And the new Jewish year, Rosh Hashanah, is coming up at the end of the month. And so my mind is already thinking like, how do I want my year to look? And so when you talk about this new iteration, I've been mulling over like, what is this iteration, this new iteration of me that's going to be this year? What's my North Star? What's like the direction I wanted to take? And I bumped into someone on Saturday who I haven't seen in many years, but I grew up with him. He was like the community rabbi. And for 35 years, he was building this community. He was in San Diego in La Jolla. He left recently, a couple years ago. He moved abroad to Israel and he like decided to reimagine himself. Ironically, he was teaching in a high school and a community rabbi in La Jolla. And guess what? He has somehow, even though he had no intention of doing the same thing in Israel, he ended up finding and creating these opportunities where now he is the head of a synagogue in Israel, and he is working in this boys' high school who are like at risk. They could be doing, they're kind of the last stop before they kind of give up on themselves. He's working with them. And while he has reimagined himself, he's still very much lit up by the same core things. And so when I think about this iteration for myself, I really want to be authentic and lit up by the same core things that have always lit me up, but at the same time, reimagined anew.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought that together, because one of the things in my mind as you were talking, I was like, okay, this like this person's experience is actually really important to you. Like, I didn't ask, but you brought it into the conversation. So I got really curious. I'm like, okay, so why is this person's experience coming in here? And what I'm hearing from you is like it's that element of like the same core values, the same core things that light you up, but now reimagine. Let me ask you this, Rachel. What are those core values for you? Like what are those things for you?
Yeah, again, a really important question because I keep thinking like I don't want it to be. I was for so many years caught up on being Superwoman and this Superwoman of like exhaustion and wearing that as a badge of honor. And I think there was like a lot of ego involved in that. And I've been asking myself this question, like, where does the ego stop and the genuine desire start? Because I want to find that. And so for me, those core values really helps me dig into like the desire, and it cuts away the ego that I'm trying to cut away from myself, you know? And so the desire is being a builder, being a wellspring of inspiration and support for other people, and holding space for them in every way. I love when people come into my home. I love serving them good food and I love taking care of them. That's holding space. I love being in conversation with people and helping them see their own beautiful power and light and like how impactful they are in this world. That's holding space. Those are my values.
Yeah, so it's actually really cool. As I was listening to you here, you actually had a bit of a process that you took me through, because I asked you about the values, and then you talked about like some of the things that like in the past had kind of tripped you up, like feel like you needed to be superwoman, the ego overall, and then you talked about like how you're able to bypass that and connect your values with desire right now. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, totally. And this on newfound honor for desire, like in the last several years that I've developed, has been also like something different.
Yeah, so this is so as we talk, I it's an interesting conversation that we have, because as we go out, I'm actually looking to pull out like new pieces of like, oh, this is how you see your world. Oh, is this actually a process that you're using? Because I think a lot, like especially for us as outliers in the world that are like creating our own path, choosing like the direction that we go in. Sometimes it's hard to actually see like what it is that like I don't know what like the way that we actually look at things, you know. So I'll be pointing out some of those things along the way. Here's the thing, Rachel, you don't have to agree with me. The idea here is to be, yeah, just I don't know, to see you. I want to see how you think, but also put it out into space to see how that all works. So when I heard this here, I was like, oh, this is like you can't even help but like just be in thought leadership. Like you're such a leader that you're like, here goes the process that I use to like not just say here goes my value, but like or here goes my values. Like here goes how I actually get to what is actually true and key to me there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So tell me again here, just like what are your values like like through the desires like help me see that.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I just really have always wanted to and still always want to help people live the best possible lives that they can live.
Yeah.
Be deeply connected to developing their own relationship with self, understanding their own power and light, and creating their own expression for how they want to offer that, and valuing that so much. And just like all in the hero's journey, all the turns and twists along the way, being able to show them, support them, and myself in the process, like it's all part of the picture and it's all perfect in its imperfection. And I guess like what's really come to light recently for me is just this new level of faith where it's not just like all for the best. It's that I can actually create whatever I want. I am a, co-creator with something much bigger than myself, and I can create whatever I want. My job is to get really clear on what I want.
All right, so this is now really interesting. A new level of faith right here, right? Um it's that brings up a lot of energy for me on this area, because it's like what you described earlier. I almost feel like a single a silver lining. Like okay, like you've evolved past the silver lining element of it all, and you've gone to like no, I actually just like this faith and belief that if you want it, you can create it. Am I getting that right? Firstly,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so a big part of me wants to go and like chase down, be like, oh, what is it that you're wanting to create? Tell us more about that. I think what I would love to do, we'll get there, is like, I'm really curious about the time in between, the transition between like this, like I forget your exact word, so I've internalized it as like, the silver lining element of it all. Like,
Yeah,
what like how did you
everything's for the
describe it?
best.
Yeah, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah, everything is for the best.
Yeah. So to the trend, because that's like, it feels like a powerful way of looking at the world. It feels like it's powerful to have that faith statement, but you just brought in a whole new level beyond that. And I would love to just spend a little bit of time just like exploring that, because there is something really powerful for me in that there. Are you good with that?
Yeah, and it's so cool. I mean, I get really excited about this because, like, it doesn't just pertain to my narrow lane, it pertains to everything that I touch. So, like, if someone's coming to me and they're coming to me, let's say for coaching, and I can genuinely see who they are and they feel it to the point that they experience who they are for themselves, that creation can now begin.
Yeah. So tell me about the distinction for you between everything is for the best, and this new level of faith, like where you're like, no, I can create everything. Like it. So to me, they're on the same kind of spectrum. Like it's almost like it's like the same journey, but you've like upgraded it, right? So I would love to understand like what's the difference for you, and like yeah, let me put it in that.
Yeah.
What's the difference for you in
Yeah.
that?
I mean, to me, and it's funny to hear you say that because to me, it's like miles apart, planets
Yeah.
apart, the two. Like everything's for the best is safe. Like everything's for the best. I'm kind of a victim. I'm passive on my own in this whole situation. And like whatever ends up happening to me could be interpreted in a way that it's for me. Maybe I can't see it right now. It's just kind of like, it's a bummer, you know, like it's for to me, I can't think
Well,
of
you know
more
what though? Like I'm laughing with you here, and I was like like silently smiling here, but it's like because it's like, oh, it's a bummer, but I'm like, it really is, right? And like, and this is the part that I feel it's important to put in. It's like it's counterintuitive. Everything for the best should be like, it's like, wait, isn't that enough? Isn't that like what the world is saying here? Like, hey, you should have a positive spin on it. Like, why don't you just reframe that, right? Like you're a coach, we're both coaches here. Like a lot of people just stop at the reframe and they're like, well, like, what if it was positive, and like,
right.
and it's like, and that's it. And what I'm hearing from you, and it's something that I appreciate about you, is why I let you into my brain here, right? Like you're like, yeah, but safe is such a bummer. Like, like yeah, sure, it's the best, but there's something even beyond best, and like just being stuck at at best is feels safe and is a bummer. And I think that like I really want to slow down on that there, because it's like it's a different way of looking at the world that I think is like one of the things that you bring that like makes you so like shine so differently in this world. I'm so grateful for you for that. What are your thoughts on any of this?
Yeah, thank you. I think that's why I'm so drawn into entrepreneurship and love working with entrepreneurs so deeply because most people that we come across would prefer to play it safe, like get the paycheck, whatever the most stable, predictable, I can do it in my sleep job, that would probably be able to like just get me through the day is what people will accept. And not only that, like you said these words, isn't that enough? That's what you said. And it's like, that's what people are saying to themselves all the time. I should just be happy with this. Isn't this enough? Like, shouldn't I just be happy? But entrepreneurs don't accept status quo that way. They are insistent that it's not enough. It's never enough. And they're always going to be hungry no matter what they hit. And they're going to keep moving the goalpost over and over and over again. And I'm very drawn into that. And to me, surviving is everything's for the best and playing it safe. But thriving is I can create. I mean, that feels really dangerous, even. Like that gets my blood moving and adrenaline kicking in because I'm scared a little bit, Like what am I saying here? Like what am I saying my powers are? Am I like, my son, one of my kids is like obsessed with Harry Potter. Like, am I calling myself some sort of magician? And essentially, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because this is like I have a thing that about talking about the dark sides of great things, right? And I really want to just slow down with this here, because I am still very interested in this transition, right? It's easy that on one end to be like, one day I was looking at everything for the best, and the other day I was like, I can create. And I'm like, but there was like at
Yeah.
least 24 hours in between where you were on two different sides, right?
Yeah.
And so so I'm hearing from you some like the unexpected parts of it. Like tell me here, you brought up about two or three right now about like some of the kind of like the consequences of being in a world where like you have deep faith that you can create anything that you want to create. Can you tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about some of like the other consequences or some of like the unexpected things that people don't like see come in when they get that much freedom and belief and faith in themselves?
Yeah. And I mean, the best way I could describe it is like a continuum. And I'm still on this continuum from the place of, let's say at the beginning of the continuum, it's playing it safe. It's all for the best. At the end of the continuum is I can create anything I want, anything. And I'm very much still in the middle, but so it's definitely been more than 24 hours that this process has been going on. But, like I'm thinking of an example that you're trying to draw out of me, I think. So there was a guy who I was coaching. He came to me because he had this desire to move. He was living in Canada and he wanted to move to New York. He felt there was a lot more opportunity for him. He has a wife, a bunch of kids. He's doing incredibly well in Canada with his career, and he was scared. And I coached him for 2 months around the importance of just honoring his desire. And he was so courageous. His wife was like crying every day, afraid, and he would face that conversation over and over again. He had so many doubts coming in, and he would face that over and over again too. But by the end of the coaching experience, he said, this is our last session when he said this to me. I think I'm just going to stay here in Canada. And he was living in Montreal. And I think I can just find opportunities and freedom here in Canada that, in a way that's maybe not overt, but if I look for it, I'll find it. And I thought to myself, I have to respect him. He's a client, he's his own person. But yeah, I felt kind of like, what happened there? What happened to my whole theory of like, you can create whatever you want? And so I followed up with him just this past week. And he said, Rachel, I'm moving to New York. We're leaving in 2 weeks. The coaching, needed time to ferment and just germinate underground so that it could actually blossom into something. And here, I'm terrified, but I'm my seatbelt strapped on, and here we go. And I was just like, there it is. Like, you can't get away from this thing called desire. And my belief is it's divine. And if it's divine, then you don't have to worry about generating some kind of power. It's already empowered. It's already in motion. And I think it's terrifying, exhilarating, exciting experience. It's actually what brought me here to Phoenix also. It's what got me to start my own business.
You can't get away from this thing called desire. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for making it real. Because there was an element of me that's like how do we make this real? And I appreciate hearing you in story here. You're really great at communicating and sharing stories. So like I just wanted to also like put that into the space. Thank you very much for that. I'm hearing the levels of alignment, and that's what you had talked about, like how this person went through a process of getting to alignment. And I love that space in between where it's like the work was being done. There was a time frame that someone said, oh, in 2 months, I'll definitely know. It's like, it took longer, for everything to actually like come into play. But what I'm hearing is that like, you help this person just get into alignment with whatever it is, regardless of how scary it was, regardless of where it was, this person got into alignment, stepped into that. And, I feel the difference between like the all is for the best, because I totally makes sense. Like it just I can what this is what totally makes sense to me, Rachel. This is part of the reason why I call you. This is part of the reason why I send you messages, because like you're able to see the thing in there that other people would kind of like pat them on the back for, or be like, okay, yeah, no, that definitely like it's just not the right time. There's all these reasons why you shouldn't move. Like let's
Yeah.
continue using that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But you're such a stand. you're such a stand for people's desires. I use that word in this case here. You're such a stand for people's desires that it like, yeah, it does transform. I'm thinking of an example right now, Rachel. I In 2021, I had an idea for the World Joy Movement. I was like, oh, I'm looking to like, I'm the leader of the World Joy Movement, and I mentioned it like in a conversation we were having at a time, and you're like, wait, hold up, stop, what? I've known you for all this time, and I never knew that you were the leader of the World Joy Movement. Like, why isn't that out in the world? Why isn't that like playing? And then within a month, like we were branded, we went out in the world, we started organizing conversations around it, bringing people together all around the World Joy Movement, started a podcast, like all these things came to life with, I didn't know what it was at that time. It makes a lot more sense right now, through the lens of let's like what is it, you can't get away from your desires, from this thing called, no,
Yeah.
you can't get away from this thing called desire. um you're a powerful, powerful stand for that. And I really just want to acknowledge you in that, and call that into this space here. Like, it's something special about you, and I'm really, really like, I'm gonna call that
Thank
out.
you. Yeah, no one's ever called that out before, and it so perfectly captures like one of my biggest principles that I live by and that I leverage in supporting clients and in raising children and in being in relationship with other people. So I really appreciate that. And there's something I do have fear around it because there are times when I feel like I'm playing with fire. This guy, he's about to go head to head with his wife. Like, I don't want to be responsible or have a hand in that uh, uh, conflict in his home. But at the same time, I, I, I know that, and I have this deep knowing, the kind that like lives in the gut, that this divine desire is not to be messed with.
Yeah, like, so in my mind, you had mentioned earlier about like creating and being a magician. I'm like, oh, are you like just like a fire magician right here? Like, it is like you know how to, I love you say it's playing with fire. And as soon as you said that, like my first thing came to mind of like, oh, don't touch the stove, it's gonna be hot and all that stuff. But then I started thinking about like people in like action movies and people who like they actually know, like right now there's ideas of concerts that I've gone to where there's like fire that's coming out. Like fire itself, if harnessed in the right way, is not destructive, or it can be powerfully destructive, like intentionally destructive.
Right.
Um, yeah,
It's a
so
source
there's,
of life even, or it
yes,
can be
tell me more.
powerfully destructive. Yeah, like it really can go both ways. Like you can burn down forests and homes. And my husband was involved heavily in like the California fire settlements. So I know all about, the destruction that a fire can bring. But at the same time, without fire, without sun, which is like this, like a huge source of heat, you know, there's no life.
Mm.
We need it.
Yeah, and that's something that like I get about it's like it's this element of, yes, you're playing with fire, but you know how to, handle fire. You know where it's like, okay, this part needs to be burnt down. We're gonna let that sit for a couple of months, and then like now the ground is rich again for something new to come to life, so on and so forth. Like it's really, I think this is energizing me so because um there's a simple acknowledgement in it. It's like it's not, I get like, I get disappointed when I see people come out in the world and they only talk about like the good things about good things, and I myself get caught in that myself, oftentimes. So it's not all like easy to always slow down. But the reality is, like, as you get access to more and more of your power, as you actualize in more and more ways, there are new responsibilities, new challenges that most people don't even know exist. And for those of us that do know it exists, like, they don't get talked about in the world. What do you
Yeah.
do when you feel so actualized that you actually just go in for all of your desires? Like, what is it like to have to harness that much power, over your life, over your choices? Like, Rachel, let's just enter in the conversation. I don't really have like an answer on this right now. There's places where I would come from an answer in different contexts, but in the space of this conversation with you, I would like to actually be in the not knowing with you. So like that, like I look just love to talk a little bit more about like wielding the power of like going after your desires, get like the power that comes with the faith of your own ability to create. Let's just talk a little bit about it, and then we'll see
Yeah.
where the rest of the conversation goes.
Yeah. I mean, so when I'm working with someone and when I'm checking in with myself, the first thing I do, I have two filters. One is this the truest desire you have? And second is this the highest desire you have? When you can find the intersecting point between your truest and highest desire.
I gotta
what would-
pause you. I gotta pause you. Okay, because like I like, oh, you're just leadership is just coming through right now. So I want to make sure we're getting this here. You said, is this your truest and is your highest? Please do me a favor, like distinguish the two for me.
Yeah. So like for my own personal background, several years ago when I was doing this community work, there was a part of it that was not true, if I was being totally honest with myself. Yes, I wanted to support people, but there was something untrue because I wasn't acknowledging myself. I wasn't allowing my most authentic version of myself to shine through in my leadership. And instead, I was trying to emulate someone else's whitewashed cookie cutter version of leadership. That's not true. And it didn't last. If it's not true, it's not sustainable. And so the first thing I want to figure out with this person is like, is this truly your desire deep down? If we cut away, it's not that your dad put this image of your head to be a doctor and now you've adopted it. No, like this is genuinely your desire. It's aligned with you. It's authentic. It's like the first thing I want to kind of figure out with the person. And
Okay,
then, yeah,
we're gonna move on to the highest part in just a bit here, but
yeah,
like just that part alone is like game changing because like we're talking around here around like you're working with. I know the people you work with and from the stories that like come in like you work with. I don't know them specifically, but I know like the type of people you work with. They're up to big things in the world. They've had multiple levels of success. You talk about serial entrepreneurs. They've done this, you
yeah,
know, and so there's an element in here that just seems like incredibly valuable to just get to the part of like, is it like the truth behind that desire? And it seems like to me, it's an epic thought to get past like not just the fact that it's there, but like to unroot and unearth and make sure that like this is actually true to you as a person. Uh
yeah,
that's and I hear that you have that filter. You have that filter on when you have conversations with people. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and it's cool because like phase 1 for most people, they don't even know how powerful their desire is. So just
Mhm.
phase 1 is like a person's journey and not everyone gets there, but a person's journey and understanding that their desire matters. Phase 2 is, okay, is this desire true to you? And then we would move to phase 3.
All right, tell us about phase 3 now.
Yeah, so phase 3 is like highest. And by highest, there's a couple ways you could look at it, and it's all the ways. But one is like, is this like, how big are your stakes right now? Are you talking petty, small potatoes? Are you playing it safe in your desire? Like, Niiamah, you're great at this. Like, you'll take someone's vision and you'll be like, I think we could do better than this, like, let's expand, let's go think big, like that's something that you have a superpower in. And like, I think that's really important when you think about what your highest desire is. It's like, no, I don't want to start the World Joy Club. I want to start the World Joy movement. I want a global movement. So thinking really big. And then the other part of highest is soul level desire, soul level, like what you were put in this world to do. And that comes from a really high level analysis and check. Like, I don't want to use words that think of the mind because it can't be too mind oriented because our mind can trip us up, but it just comes from like a deep self-awareness in a gut check.
This is it's fascinating to me because as we're having this conversation, I'm like, oh, like that's I get that internal sensation over and over and over again because I'm like, I know that there's a reason why I love having you in my world. I know there's a reason why like I'm like I have something and Rachel's one of the people I'm coming to around it, right? And as we're talking, all this, like more and more of it like falls into place. You see, that element of the highest desire that you just brought into this space here, what comes from me is that you choose to help people actually go and create that. I can think for myself right now, and I'm going to invite anyone else that's listening to think for themselves around like when they've gotten into the spaces of thinking about if they give themselves the space to actually admit what is really true for them and their desire and what their highest desire is, or even just like a higher desire than the base one. What oftentimes will stop me from even like moving forward is like, I'm like, but where do I go? How do I do it? And there's like no one that I can go to
Mm,
like actually be to help me be in the creation of that. There's a lot of people that want to help create for like your strongest want or like
yeah,
what you're like all the things that you like cut out from the very beginning, like you filter for up front. Like there's a lot of people who like will help you create those other parts, or and this really irks me. It just irks me. I'm so done with this. They want to give you what they think is their highest desire or your highest desire. And you're like, like that's not what I want.
yeah,
That's not what
yeah,
this is actually about. So when you say this here and you take us through the three phases of this here, um, I see the impact of just going through that process and then having someone that that you can actually trustfully say, I will help you create that. Like it's not like whatever is necessary for that journey, let's go on that one. Like there are other people who can help you with like, oh, I have this small little thing here and I'm trying to make a little bit over here. Like great, go to those people for those needs. But
yeah,
for like the highest truest desire of your life, the thing that your soul is calling you for, talk to
yeah,
Rachel Eden. Is that
yeah.
right?
Yes, you got it 100%. And I get so excited because I'm working with really amazing, powerful people in their own right, they don't need a lot of hand holding past that point. They're like, okay, I got this now. Like I'm terrified. I don't know what to do next. Like I don't know exactly the right next step in or like 3 steps from now. But once they have this genuine clarity of direction, like everything begins to fall into place. And the guy who moved to New York, like, yeah, he did take more than 2 months. He took 3. But like it doesn't have to take forever for everything to fall into place.
Mm, mm. Okay, Rachel. So I'm appreciative of you. Like I've known you for a while and I'm still seeing more about you and like seeing you in like say more vibrant colors of the spectrum. I guess it's like I'm like, oh, okay. Like you're that much more clear. It's like 4K now, you know. Um, I think it's a good place for us to start completing this conversation here. And what I like to do here in our last, like, 3 to 5 minutes is just like bring in something that really feels really good for you. So you can take us out here with like what's a topic, what's something that you feel like hasn't been said that you love to bring into this space. And then we'll leave some room for you to let us know how to continue the conversation with you if anyone wants to like, yeah, wants to reach out. All right.
Sure. I'm thinking you want me to share something that feels good to me in terms of a message?
Yeah, so I think right now I want to like in my mind I'm like, oh, I'm complete, you
Okay.
know. And we can end the conversation right here. What I want to do is give space for anything that like that you feel needs to be said or that you want to be said, or actually none of those words even make it work in this conversation. Do you have any other desires that you'd like to put into this space? Like and like if you're gonna honor a desire for you right now, a
Yeah.
true desire for you, I want to give some space for that, and then we can let people
Yeah.
know how
Yeah.
to continue on with you.
Yeah, I got you now. So, I mean, for me, I came in, like when you were talking at the beginning of the conversation, I was like, "Ooh, this is the direction I wanted to go in." And you said that you see me in more vibrant colors. What's beautiful about you is that like I see me in more vibrant colors when I spend time with you, which is such a gift. And when I came into this conversation with you, I was thinking like, what do I want my year to look like? And by taking us down this path, the way that you've guided this conversation, it's just everything else melts away. And what becomes very abundantly clear is what remains standing, which is the desire, what my truest and highest desire is. And so I guess like it kind of is the same thing. The takeaway I want for myself and the message I would love to give to other people is just dare to dream. Spend all day, every day that you can in this place of like daring to dream. Like, what would it look like? What do I really want? Like asking these like big questions. Like, when I envision myself, like, what do I see? And what part of those, where's their resistance? And like just daring to dream every single day. And so what I'm going to take from this conversation for myself is daring to dream about what this year could look like for me, spending some time on it, whether it's just journaling, meditating, drawing, whatever, talking to other people, whatever I can do to self-express and allow this to take shape. So I'm really thankful for this conversation.
Thank you, Rachel. Like, and just so you know, I'm gonna be a stand for that. I'll be holding that space with you as well. Whether or not we have a conversation about it or not, I'm holding space for you on that there.
Thank you. I know you will.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Rachel, this has been a wonderful conversation with you here. I thoroughly enjoy like spending time with you. For people who also want to spend time with you or want to continue the conversation in some way, what's the best ways for them to continue the conversation?
Yeah. So I'm at my website. This Way to Eden is a good calling card. I'm also on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook as Rachel Eden with This Way to Eden. So those are all good. And I'm really open to having conversations with new people. I have a value to always be in conversation. So the invitation is open.
Awesome. And I want to just make sure that that it's really clear. This way to Eden.com. And that's EDEN, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You got it.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you for showing up as powerful as you are. And I really want to just like acknowledge you for the way that you've dialed in on who you are and the embrace the way that you've embraced just making sure that continues to come through with everything that you do. It's an honor and a pleasure. I look forward to everything that comes from here. All right.
Thank you so much, Niiamah. It was great. I really enjoyed it. All right. Bye.
Bye.
We're just getting started. Take 10 seconds to think about your greatest insight from today's conversation. And if you're ready to go and bring this to a deeper, more applicable level for you, come and join us in an upcoming masterclass. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass to be coached live and to bring your aspirations, your goals, and your challenges and have them handled in real time. This is high flame, high impact, high transformation. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass and come experience your next level of leadership.